breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host, as always, Dr. Glenn Harrison. How's it going, buddy?
Doing great. I'm doing great on this fine evening. How are you doing so far? You're kind of
good. Everything's
kind of both are.
Yeah, everything's burning the old midnight oil, or burning the candle at both ends, I guess. Trying to get a bunch of stuff accomplished, and we got a bunch of stuff going on, as you know, and I know you've got some stuff coming up we're trying to knock out. So yeah, this thing got pushed back a day longer than it usually does, but that's okay. We regrouped, and we've talked about our ability to adapt. So we adapted, and we're here to knock out yet another podcast.
Here we are. So this is kind of a fun one, all about the liver. The liver.
Yeah, this is one that I think that a lot of people don't really understand how important it is until you have a problem with it.
That's right.
So we today are talking about, we've nicknamed this podcast or this episode, how to know if your check liver light is on. It's kind of like your check engine light in your car. If this is your first time listening or watching and you get value out of this content, please hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're going to continue to roll out new content like this each and every week. So let's talk about the liver. Hey, what does it do? Rule number one.
It does lots. But the focus of it, I guess, for us today is all about cleaning the body, detoxifying. Right? A lot of people know about that. But when it becomes dysfunctional, it's funny, you know, I'm like yourself analyzing lab panels, like I don't know how many this month already. It's crazy, obscene numbers. And you start to see patterns. And then we were trying to identify organ systems. You go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so often does liver dysfunction come up. And if you look at enough liver panels, you start to see the things that you should, you know, when there is a problem. And you also see when it isn't. Not everything's a liver problem, but there's more and more and more out of it, especially you get very versed in it. And then you see the associated symptoms. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I guess to simplify for today, without it talking about any other functions of the liver, it's cleaning the body out, detoxification.
Right. And again, like you said, that's only one of the many functions. I mean, it also helps you break down like red blood cells and stuff like that.
Right.
But for today's purpose, we are going to talk about the detoxifying properties of the liver. It's basically a big filter that filters all the junk and toxins out of your body.
And recycles.
If it's not working.
Yeah.
If it's not working, we're going to have problems. Some of these problems can include like itching, skin disorder. This is when you see people that are starting to turn like yellow. They call that jaundice.
Right.
You can have yellowing of the skin and eyes. That's from excess bilirubin buildup. That's what I just talked about, where bilirubin's a byproduct of the breakdown of red blood cells that have died.
Mm-hmm.
You can have digestive issues. You can have hormone issues, fatigue, nausea. I mean, it really, if you have something and you're like, man, I just kind of feel like crap, well, then the liver is a pretty good place to start, because if it's not working, you're going to feel terrible.
Yeah. Another kind of abstract symptom or indirect symptom of liver dysfunction, and a cause of liver dysfunction is having low energy. So if you don't have enough energy, you can't give that currency to your liver to clean out your body. And then you will have bizarre liver symptoms, but it might not even be a liver problem, but a lack of metabolism, a lack of energy to give your liver. So, you know, but that's maybe a little more advanced when you start trying to put the pieces together. I guess we're just looking for symptoms, toxicity symptoms.
Well, and even when you look at the liver not working, like if you do not have enough energy, the liver's really energy dependent to do its job, because it does it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it filters all the blood.
I like the liver more than the heart because if I want to pick like an all-star organ, it's got to be the liver. I think the liver's got the heart. I know the heart is needed, right? You know, you can hear it and it's got to pump blood. Okay. It's important, kind of important, but the liver is like a super, you know, it's a super organ. It's a superhero.
Completely underappreciated. He's like the janitor of the school, you know, without that guy, nothing happens.
The janitor that's giving
dirty. It's totally underappreciated.
The janitor that's giving psychological help to poor down and out students, and no one sees it. This is the liver. The liver is that all-star janitor. The liver could regenerate. Something we didn't really have on kind of our agenda to talk about, but it can regenerate, and the heart can't. You know, you just really can't. You don't hear of the liver can defend itself to some extent. The heart can't. The heart is fragile. It needs all these surgeries and things. So I don't know. Let's bring the liver back in the spotlight. That's what I'm.
Yeah, let's make it popular again. Let's make a liver great again.
Okay, so what do you do if you're not feeling optimal or less optimal?
So if a good place that I start is I always, in most of my routine blood work, even I run liver enzyme tests. There's certain enzymes that you can run that'll be elevated in the presence of like, liver inflammation or liver damage, or even like trauma to the liver, whether that's from like alcohol or something like that. And they're really, really pretty affordable.
Oh yeah. They're peanuts.
I mean, yeah, when you look at the cost of laboratory testing, like enzyme testing is really, really, really affordable.
That's right.
So not only will they provide you kind of a roadmap of like what it, if it's elevated where you should look, but then you can also like specialize into some other stuff and look at it. You can also do like, fecal and urinalysis to check for any sort of like urobilinogen or steatobilinogen. That can indicate if there's some swelling or cirrhosis in the liver that's pressing on stuff that it shouldn't, and it's preventing the breakdown of like bilirubin into the appropriate levels. You can do things like ultrasound. They can do a biopsy. I haven't had to go that far yet. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you kind of hit on all the high points. If we're just kind of thinking about the liver and sources of problems and how to identify it, I think some people just think that the liver, it's injured because of its alcohol, or or toxic because of the air I breathe. No, a lot of and the liver enzymes, when they come in, that's step 2 of the game. The first step is toxic liver, where the byproduct, the things that the liver should clean out of the body, you can find in blood work, are starting to build up. You'll have a toxicity problem, but you won't yet have a liver injury, liver enzymes. Once you have liver enzymes, you're already in stage 2 of liver problem, a true injury. And then you got it. But the liver is so amazing that you can heal, and the liver enzymes can come down, unlike the heart. So yeah, the liver is the king on this again.
We're talking about it. Let's make it popular. That guy deserves some credit.
So I guess now, what can lead to the liver problems? I just kind of touched on one. I said, of course, foods and chemicals and digestive disorders, right? So you funnel a toxin to the body, and then that goes on long enough, and then the liver is overworked because it does so much. So then there's all that. So environmental toxins and foods and chemicals, processed foods. We could just simplify and call it diet, right? We could do that.
Yeah.
And lifestyle too. So are you, where are you living? Are you living beside a factory, or I don't know, outside Chernobyl or something like that? What's going on from a lifestyle standpoint? What are you putting on your skin? There's a toxin right there. I think it's 30 seconds, something like that. For 26 seconds, you put on your skin, you can find it in your bloodstream. The liver has to process it. And as we go through the ages, we're building more and more industrial chemicals that we use in our life that are more and more resistant. And our liver is a primitive system, yet even though it's amazing, it's a primitive system. It can't filter out. It doesn't understand these really abstract chemicals. They're foreign, they're aliens. So our liver has a hard time to process these more and more modern day toxins that we use all the time. So, it's not only what you put in your mouth and the air you breathe, but it's what you put on your skin. It's a big deal. It's where you bathe. It's everything. So those are some factors. Autoimmunity is a big one. The worst liver case that I ever had in my career was autoimmune hepatitis.
Big one. Yeah,
and it was bad. And this lady, she was early mid-20s, a young mom, had her own career. She's a nurse, and she came to me after she found out about it. It wasn't quite determined yet if it was autoimmune hepatitis, and they ruled out everything and then confirmed it. I was working on the case, and we confirmed it. And there was like, you had all the different specialists in there, but she had serious jaundice already. They were already talking about looking for a liver transplant. That's it. That because she was young enough, right? But then what is the waiting list for that? And how is she going to take it? And then everything else, it's a whole nother gauntlet. But she was extremely exhausted. I never thought of this. I'm kind of rambling here, but she was extremely exhausted. She had severe jaundice. Her skin itched, just like we're talking. Her skin was starting to turn yellow. Her eyes were quite yellow. But she was fatigued. She was literally fatigued for like a year, and she had chronic digestive issues before. So did that line her up, and screen for all sorts of other autoimmunities, and that's what it was. She came in and she was still going through the medical system to navigate that, and we were doing what we could, and liver enzymes were through the roof. I've never seen anything that high. So her immune system was destroying her liver, and it was getting really scary, and super young kids and young family, and she couldn't work anymore because she was so exhausted. Once we started to dial things in, that was exciting. We had to clean but be gentle, right? Because the liver was already injured. So we had to look at it exclusively an immune disorder to get her immune system to quit damaging her liver as much, so her liver could clean about her body. And we started to see energy improvements. We started to see digestive improvements. One of the first things happened was the itchiness went away. It was keeping her up all night. So it's interesting what we're talking about here now. It's reflecting. I never even thought of it, of her case. A truly remarkable lady. To make a long story short, she didn't need a biopsy. She didn't need any of that. And then it turned into an autoimmune story, which I won't get into how we navigated that. But so far, so good. She was able to keep functioning and improve, and back,
her own liver, right?
Yeah, her own liver. And there's, when those cases are that severe, it's not I've seen moderate cases of autoimmune hepatitis, and I've seen severe, and this is the most severe I've ever seen. And she was able to hold it together. So, and that's years ago. So anyway, if someone's dealing with that, there's hope. Get to it early.
Right.
So
Do something about it.
Yeah, that's autoimmune causes. And then of course viruses. So like there's all sorts of viral hepatitises and all sorts of there's even parasites, something we never talked about. There's certain parasites that'll
other types of infection. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's lots to the liver, bizarre symptoms, but I guess these are some of the basics, and these are warning lights. So if you have anything going on and there's itchy skin, don't ignore the liver, and make sure your doctor checks it out, and you do these kinds of tests, because it's a big deal.
Well, and they're easy and they're cheap, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? So
exactly.
If it's not, if it's not resolving, it's getting worse and it's starting to affect your life, definitely want to investigate it. Very affordable to do so. You could pretty much go to any primary care physician. They'll do those enzymes. No problem.
And there's another thing I thought of when we talked about skin disorders. If someone is always struggling with poor skin, unhealthy skin, it doesn't have to be acne or anything like that. That can be the liver, because the toxins like to manifest and start coming through the skin. So, yeah, doesn't have to be hepatitis.
No, doesn't have to be, but you want to rule it out, right? So, I think that's it for today. If you guys got value out of this content, again, please hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications, so every time we roll something new out, you guys know about it. If you'd like to get a hold of us, we have an email associated with the podcast. It's info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can get on our websites. Mine is northlakescheropractic.com. Dr. Glenn's is drgharrison.com. And stay tuned, because we're going to roll out another one next week.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, my man.
Yeah.
Stay at it.
High five to the liver. High five to the liver. Okay. Bye-bye.